We are live. It's about 9 minutes before the session is supposed to start. I'm just starting early to make sure that things are actually working. And I'll wait here until noon or maybe 1 or 2 minutes after. I have at least one person watching. Hello. Just making sure that it's all set up. So I started the live early. We'll start the session a couple of minutes after 12. And the neighbor children next door have decided right now is the perfect time to go in their backyard and start playing in the window. My window is right by their back door. So I'm just doing the live feed early just to make sure it's working. I see there's a few people that are watching. My mother being one of them, who probably will have some comments on some of the things that I will be talking about. Can everybody hear me? Just asking if everybody can hear me, because obviously if you can't, then I need to fix something. Okay, so someone said that you can hear me. I'm just checking because I did a Teams video chat with my team this morning, and I had a setting off. They could hear me, but I couldn't hear them, so they could hear me while I was cursing the entire time, trying to figure out what the setting was. So I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me. We'll get started in a couple of minutes. And I just mentioned my office is in the back of the house, and the neighbor children just decided to go outside in their backyard and play, and the window's right beside the backyard, so you may hear screaming children. How's everyone doing? There's like 5 people watching so far. Is anyone going stir crazy yet? If anyone's been following my banjo saga, getting a banjo for my son was probably not a great idea, although he's excited about it and it's giving us something to do. But hearing banjo picking 24 hours a day almost is not fun. I'll wait till about a minute after noon and then we'll get started. So we'll get started in a few minutes. I just wanted to start the broadcast early to make sure there was no technical issues. So far, so good. This will be recorded as well, and I will post it later with some of the resources I'm talking about. So I'll probably just wait another minute or two and then get started. It's hard to know which time is the right time. My watch, my phone, my computer. Like I said, I'll give another minute or two and then we'll get started just to make sure everybody has a chance to join. The video will be posted after. I have an hour booked. I don't think it's going to take an hour, but we'll see. All right, I think I'll probably get started now. So as I mentioned, if you were watching earlier, this will be recorded. I will post it. It will be captioned when I post it. And I'll also post the resources that I'm talking about, and any resources that I learn about will be posted with the link. I have an hour booked. It's probably only going to be maybe half an hour. What I would suggest is if you have questions, you can post them. I'll go over the questions at the end so that people who want to leave can leave. And do their own thing. Just a reminder though, this is public. If you post a question, everyone can see it. So there's no confidentiality here. And this isn't even really going to be entirely legal information. It will be a lot of practical information. So thanks for joining. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Michelle Allenott from Journey Law in Cornwall. We are a modern law practice for wherever life takes you, and we serve clients in our region and worldwide in the laws of the province of Ontario. Mainly, we practice wills, powers of attorney, trusts and estates, business and corporate law, and for other matters, we have external counsel that assists us. I don't profess to be an expert at all in emergency preparedness, but I or my family members have been through a lot of emergencies, and when I was preparing for this session, I just realized how much that we have been through. So I've personally had a fire. My house didn't burn down, but my barn burned down, and so I know what it's like to go through a fire. My family had a mass evacuation. So if you want a project, look up the Mississauga disaster. I think 300 and some thousand people were evacuated from Mississauga in the mid 78, I think. 78, 79, basically on no notice because there was a potential of a chemical disaster. We've lived through the ice storm. I've had multiple car accidents. I've had loved ones with major illnesses, loved ones die. I've had a relative lose her identification while out of the country. I've had a relative and clients die while out of the country. So, there's been a lot of things that have happened. And these aren't fun things to talk about, but we're all at home right now. So let's take this time to prepare ourselves for the what ifs. Plan for the worst, but hope for the best is what I sort of, titled this session. I personally feel better about life's what ifs if I thought about what I need to do and I prepared for what I need to do when it happens. And having been through some of these scenarios, I do know what helped me and what have helped me more going through those scenarios. So I tried to break this down into manageable chunks because there's various different scenarios. So what I'm going to break it down as, so you need to leave your home suddenly, and there's a chance you might not return, especially if there's a fire or a flood or something. The other sort of scenario is you're stuck in your home and you're not able to leave for a period of time. It's kind of where we are now, but not entirely. We can still get groceries and things like that. The other thing is a car accident. I'm not going to talk about you're injured in the car accident. I'm just going to talk about a general car accident, preparedness. Issues while traveling, so losing your identification, getting ill while traveling, having a member of your party die while traveling, and also just general disruption, which is some of that we are experiencing right now. You or a loved one becomes ill, and a loved one dies, and sort of how to prepare for some of those things. This is going to be just broad brush. If you can't stay, but the short message that I have for all of you is you need a plan for all these things, and you generally need to have documents and information available to you. If you have things stored in the post office or in a safety deposit box at the bank or in a lockbox in your home, printed papers, that might not be helpful to you. Given where we are right now with technology, I would suggest that you look at a cloud resource, Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive, something like that, and set up an emergency file, either one or for all these scenarios in some sort of cloud-based software so that you can access it if you are away from your home and you don't have your cell phone, you don't have anything, you can access the information that you're going to need and the documents that you're going to need. You can also use a service like LastPass to keep your passwords so that if you don't have your phone and don't have your computer, if you remember your main LastPass password, you can get in and log into all of your accounts. So those are the key messages here is getting the information and the documents ready, and having them stored in a way that you can access them. And then some of these scenarios also require you having some supplies ready. The Government of Canada has getprepared.gc.ca. Great information there. You can do a virtual emergency plan right on the site, or you can print it out and do it pen and paper. There's various different scenarios. The Red Cross has some really great information. Most municipal governments have information. So I'm not going to go over everything that they tell you, but certainly when you're getting some of these things ready, you can access those resources and figure out what you need for your own personal situation. And in terms of gathering the information and creating your emergency file for clients, for my estate planning clients, I do have like a sort of a peace of mind inventory that I give them. I'm in the midst of trying to change it, but I will post that as well. It will just turn your mind to all the things that people will need to know if you can't tell them. So if you die, if you're incapable, if you're out of the country and you can't get back and things need to happen with your finances, it just lets you think about what those things are. So in the first scenario, you need to leave your home suddenly and you may not return. So a fire, a flood, a disaster. So this happened whenever my family was living in Mississauga. I was very little, but I still remember it. It's probably one of my first memories. We had to leave our home pretty much immediately with nothing. And we couldn't go to a neighbor's house. It was all over our region. We had to leave our region suddenly, and thankfully we did have family. I guess what, about an hour and a half away. My mother can chime in, that we went to, but we went there. It was my grandparents' home. They were out of the country. We didn't have any clothes. We didn't have any food. There was no cell phones. So, it was a bit of a difficult situation. My parents did manage it. But that situation can happen now, and you need to think about what will your family need if you have to basically leave your home on no notice. So usually they say have an emergency kit at home if you're going to be stuck at home. But if you have to leave your home suddenly, think about what your family would need, at least for the few hours after you have to, depart your home. You can have a go bag near the front door, in your front closet. You can have a bag in your car, and assume that you're not going to have your wallet. You're not going to have your cell phone. Like, just assume that you're running out of your house with almost nothing, and you may not even have time to grab your bag. So I also say, like, if you have a couple of things in your car, these can help you in other situations. You're out and about and you spill something. If you have a change of clothes in the car, you can use it. If you have children, most parents do that. Also, you need to think about what you need in your car in case you're stranded in your car as well. So, what is your family going to need? Maybe a change of clothes, a little bit of cash probably is a good idea. Don't leave your car on empty. Someone told me a long time ago that filling up the top half of your car is the same cost as filling up the bottom half of your car. So probably don't leave your car empty, because you may not be able to get to a gas station. Gas station may not be open, things like that. The other thing is, where are you going to go? You should have a safe place locally and a safe place that's not as local, that you need to go to. And also, do you know that person's phone number? If you don't have your cell phone, do you know how to reach them? Will you be able to reach them? It's probably a good idea to commit these emergency numbers to memory, so you can call these people if you don't have your cell phone in hand, and if you can't, access 411 and look it up and things like that, because we need to assume that the worst case scenario is you have to leave your home and there's, you can't access the internet. You can't do all of these things. And in my case, having someone outside of our area to go to is what we needed whenever it was the issue happened in Mississauga. And if you're at home with your children, look up the Mississauga disaster. It is a part of Canadian history. Not everybody knows that it happened, but I think it was the largest non-wartime evacuation in North America. I think over 300,000 people were evacuated. About these plans, remember everybody in your family, including your pets. What's going to happen to your pets if your emergency location is and you have cats? Shoot, can everybody still see me? I just my internet kind of crapped out there for a second. I just posted to see if everybody can see. I can see that there's still a few people, so I think that we're good to go. Sorry, internet is not that great, even in the city of Cornwall. That's a huge issue. Also, now you are at home, you're thinking about these things. Make an emergency plan. Make sure everybody knows how to get out of the house in the event of a fire, how to open their windows. If people are on the second floor, do you need to have one of those roll-up ladders? When I lived in a 2-story home, we did have that. We did have an emergency plan. Young children themselves can learn how to call 911 and the circumstances under which they need to call 911. If you're worried about 911 and they have, an iPad that they use, you can put in, grandma and grandpa's phone number and say, listen, if you are scared and something's happening, you call grandma and grandpa on FaceTime and you tell them what's happening and they can help you. So it's a really good time to go over all of these things. Also, make sure you have fire extinguishers, carbon monoxide detectors, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you know how to use the fire extinguishers. Make sure everybody in your family knows how to use them. Make sure they know where they are. They say one fire extinguisher on every floor of your home, and definitely one in the kitchen. I have had to use, well, I didn't use mine because I didn't have one. I used baking soda, but I would have used it if I would have had one at the time. I do have one now. I immediately ordered one when we had a little fire in our oven. Another good thing to do is gather all your important information. So if you have a fire, you're going to need your insurance information. You're going to need to know all the utility companies that you have. When the fire is actually happening, you may need to contact utility companies. That is something I didn't expect whenever I was dealing with a fire, trying to find the number for Ontario Hydro to get someone to come because there was a box in danger of catching fire. So that information you'll need to have. It's not super fun. So make sure you have all of that stuff. You may want to make sure that you have wills and powers of attorney, credit card information. Make sure that you have copies of your credit card stored somewhere securely so that you can, if you lose your wallet in a disaster, that you can get your credit cards reissued, that you can contact your credit card company. Anything really that's in your wallet, you should have copies of it somewhere securely, because we need to assume that there is a chance that your wallet, you may not have your wallet. Also, the same with a car accident, your wallet can be thrown clear and you may not have that information available to you. Another thing that I tell clients to do all the time is take an inventory of the things in your home. So if you have a fire, if you have a flood, you're not going to remember how many books you had. You're not going to remember how many board games you had. You're not going